Hi, Risukorn. I don't know. Sweet? I don't know what that means. But hi. And hi, Bad Gamer, and Cup of Apricot Jam, and Nintendo Nuts, and Fear Knight, and Fia, and Tin Can. Sweet, wee, 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 wee. What are we saying? Am I missing something? I'm missing something. Um... And hello, oh my goodness, hello, Lake Star Tree Studio and Dr. Mexico and Shuffled and DJ Jackson, Ike the bestest, or beastest, sorry about that, and Bliss, and Weeba McIntyre, and the local Ashcan and Chocoletu, and Elijah Leandre, and Nas, and Twilski, and Brian David Gilbert Clips, and Chatter, and Jules, and Suspicious, and Flopdoodle, and Nextlation. Kids being described and gifted for being accelerated in school. That is a very long topic. Oof. I know I personally benefited from it, but that's there's a lot that goes into that one. Maybe we'll talk about that in a second, but I've got to say hi to everyone first, and hi Laya, and the luggage. And Valimar. Oh, I'm sorry you have to go right away. And Drumstep and Voidpire and Fishy Fish and E-. I like that name. And Offbeat and Game Boy and Logan Perkins and Thunderduel. Oh my god, I'm not catching up. I'm gonna give up on catching up because there's a lot of stuff to say in the 10 minutes that I've got before the lesson. But, okay, so, gifted kids. There are definitely, like, kids at the upper levels of academic ability that benefits immensely from those programs. And having both taught them and been a part of them, I know that, like, it's good to have a spot for kids who are not going to cause disruptions in class, because that is actually often a big determiner of whether they end up in those programs, and of them being able to kind of get accelerated instruction because the teacher's not having to deal with that stuff as much. That honestly is often the way that I have seen it play out, that like you're just opting into a classroom where kids are going to take things more seriously. Now, the label of whether someone is gifted has a psychological impact on them, obviously. And some people take that more seriously than others do. I think that, like, we may have leaned into it a little too hard in that a lot of the time, really, it is kids who are working more cooperatively with the teacher than it is kids who are, like, actually smarter. A lot of the times it is, though, that the kids are actually smarter, and those two things coincide a lot, so... don't take it, like, too seriously, but it is an opportunity that I think, if you're willing to take advantage of it and to keep up with the rigor, can be very beneficial to you as one of those kids. Now, there's also an argument that maybe it takes resources away from the other classes, which might also... there might also be a valid point there. I am less experienced in that category. I don't know how I would want to change regular classes to make them more effective. That is a problem that has bothered me for some time now. But I need to go wash my hands and throw a couple of things away, but then I will be back and we'll start looking at this trailer if we have some time. We'll definitely get to the trailer today, but we also have a lesson at the top of the hour, and I don't know how much I'm going to be able to get through it before that trailer starts. So, be right back. Okay. When the stream isn't at 11 p.m. In your experience, are gifted kids usually neurodivergent? I mean, isn't it divergent from the norm for someone to be extraordinarily gifted at certain skills? Like, if we're talking about like specifically being on the autism spectrum, then there are definitely some kids who are and some kids who aren't, and being on the autism spectrum, doesn't necessarily prevent someone from being, good at school tasks. I don't want to say smart, because it's not necessarily smart per se. It's more like smart at the things that you need to be smart at to do well in school. And conscientiousness is also a really, really high predictor of that, which I've tried to, make clear a number of times here. It's like the kids who play nice with the teacher, the kids who make things easy for the teacher, tend to just learn more because they do that. Even if, you put them through cognitive tests, they might not perform quite as well as someone who's performing at the same level but not cooperating with a teacher as well. Those kinds of things actually are positive traits for predicting classroom performance. But that's a really long topic, and we came here to talk about Silly Squid Game. So I'm gonna really quickly move over to the trailer and hope maybe we can get some of this covered before all of that starts. But I have noted in my big, huge, gifted brain that this is an interesting conversation for us to have, and we'll see if we can make that happen at a later date. Okay, so, trailer. You should be able to hear this. If not, just let me know about that thing in chat. Are we hearing, like, tweeting and birds and pretty things? Hi, kitty! All right. Okay. I love how the frame rate is still really low. Like, did they say that this is not representative of actual gameplay? Then why didn't they give him more frames? Alright. So this is a new map. And in typical Nintendo fashion, we don't get a good view of it. But we've got new Dapples, so the Dapples Nouveau. This is the standard Splattershot Pro. And then we've got this new shooter that it could be a reskin of the Splattershot Pro, or it could be something new. My hunch is that this, like, I need to see more of it, but it looked very similar to the Pro from when it was firing, and I'd have to look at, like, a different... Yeah, someone says it's the Forge, and someone says it's a new shooter, and that's my point. It's been confirmed it's a new shooter. I don't know what niche this thing fills, because it looks exactly like a Splattershot Pro from what little I've seen of it so far. But we'll take another look at that and maybe try and compare it to what we can see in the training room. And then we've got the pencil charger, which we'll talk about a little bit later because it shows more definitive information on it. Then we've got new Luna kits. We've got the T-Tech, which has a Splat Bomb. And I'm very excited, but if it doesn't have inkjet, I'm going to be disappointed anyway. And then we've got the new mini kit. And then this, I don't know if this is a new roller. I need to take a look at the other roller and see. Because it looks like it might actually be a little bit different. Okay, so if we look at this roller, like we look at the shape of it and the design of it and whatnot, this definitely is different, like, visually from this. This one's got, like, a sort of clothespin looking thing that there just isn't on the other one. So here's the T-Tech, and this is where we find out it's got a Splat Bomb, and this is where I rejoiced a little bit inside. Now, not knowing what the special is, we still don't really know too much about this kit, but I'm glad that there is a splatter shot with a Splat Bomb, and if the special is fine, then I will use it. But we have not seen it use inkjet yet. So, like, this thing. This looks like Splattershot Pro range, and this looks like about Splattershot Pro, like, fire rate. And also, like, we have this on a map that we don't have in the game yet, so it's really hard for me to tell, like, what the range is here. But for a quick comparison, here is what the Splattershot Pro looks like. Now, this is a bit of a different camera angle than we're getting, so it's kind of hard to see. But going back, this is what this weapon looks like. So it's like, it looks the same, right? It really looks the same. Splatoon website confirmed that the roller, shooter, and charger are all new weapons. I don't know if that means new kits or if they're actually... Like, we know the charger is a unique new weapon, but... I don't know. Squeezer Pro? Yeah, it's like... We already have the Squeezer. We already have the Pro. They're already very similar weapons that compete for the same niche. And now we've got another mid-range shooter? I hope this is just the Forge. Now this thing, does this look wider to you? Does this look wider than another roller? Like, I haven't tested this out, but it almost seems like the trail is a little bit bigger. Like, is that bigger? I don't know. It seems less likely now that I'm looking at this. We're going from here to here. I don't know. So maybe it's just the camera angle, you know? Maybe that's making it look like it's wider than it is. But it seemed like just a little bit off to me. So, again, I can't tell, but it's weird because it's like, it seems so similar that it's like, what, is there really a need for another weapon like this? But, I mean, with new kits, sure, like, I'm thinking, like, we could get a new kit, and that would be great. But why make a new weapon if it's going to be that different? Oh my goodness, it's already 3 o'clock. Okay, we're going to have to take a quick pause on this, unfortunately. As excited as I was to get into that, we do have a lesson that's going to be going on right now. I need to go and get in contact with the student. It's going to be for Magile. I'm gonna have to get their pronunciation on that, but. Okay. And we don't actually have a VOD from them yet, but we'll get there shortly. Check, check. Okay, cool. The Discord notification works, or the overlay. So, in the meantime, while we're waiting for that to sort itself out, we'll hop back here for just a second. Oops. Oh, no, I messed up my windows. There we go. Okay, I can see. I can see! I can fight! So, new stage here. And I'm just, like, really disoriented. This looks like it's probably a spawn area. And if so, then this is a massive choke point, which sucks. It's like, yeah, you can drop over to the right-hand side into a huge pit. that they can just, like, walk 2 steps to the left and guard there as well. So that's not helping you too much. At least you can right side peek this corner, I guess. But yeah, as soon as you get an opponent who's standing right here, you're kind of out of luck. So we've got the Forge here, we've got the we got the Pro here, we've got the Forge question mark here, we got the new roller here. And then we've got these guys who aren't doing any work at all and are just squid partying in their own base while the roller does all the hard work. Okay, there we go. We got a DM back. Okay. I've got a code, so I am now going to leave us on this image here, and I'm going to go and put that code in. Man, I did not mean to bait you guys this hard. I was trying to, like, get through as much of the analysis as I could before the lesson. Timing just didn't end up working out. But we will get back to that, I promise, I promise. I'm excited to see it too. Just gotta make sure we take care of this lesson first. So I am putting in the code at the moment, and I know that the screen is not changed. That has not escaped my eagle eye, my very attentive attention. All right, we got it. Still waiting for them to pop into VC, though. Pencil is not a one-shot as far as we can tell. So... Here, I'm just getting this frozen, and then we should be ready to go. And we can go back to trailer until they're here. All right, we're just getting them into the right channel here. So we're still on there? Yeah, we are. So the way this thing works, you can see once you've got charge, look at the reticle. Look at the lines around the reticle. There are 5 little segments there. And when it fires, only one of those segments goes away. So when you get full charge, you get all 5 shots. It's like a repeating rifle. It takes 2 shots to splat. So in theory, off of 1 charge, you've got 2 splats, 2.5 splats. But I don't know. It would seem that you would need, and you can see here, there's a magazine feeding this thing. And so as long as you can stand still and keep firing, you've got enough in the tank to fire 5 shots. But they don't one-shot. And it's unclear how much charge hold there is here. So I think it's a neat addition to it. All right, we've got, is it Magile? Magile? How do you pronounce your name? I'm not hearing anything. They are in the chat. Trust me here. Trust me here, folks. Here, 1 second. I'm going to see if they're asking a question in DMs real quick. Munch, munch, munch. All right. Ironing out some technical difficulties because they're not hearing me, but we will get there. Just probably a trip to the voice and video settings menu. So I'll keep you guys posted on when we're going to get started there. But so range is difficult to judge on this thing. Because again, we're playing on a map that we don't know yet. But this looks like pretty close to charger range. This looks, I think, longer than a bamboo. Right? Where's the laser? How far does the laser... Yeah, see, this shot is going off screen. So this looks like it's still very much like charger range. Okay. So yeah, it looks like it's pretty long range, more so than like a bamboo or a squiffer. This is not like a midline weapon. But that's from looking at it from a weird camera angle that it's difficult for me to say anything about. So here's this map. And here is Flounder Heights. So we're getting Flounder Heights on this update. So, I did not play this map ever in Splatoon 1. I have played Splatoon 1 for about 2 hours. So I don't know to what extent this differs from the map layout that it had previously. Splatoon 1 people will, have to inform me. But Chara was saying that it looked pretty similar, so I'm happy with that. Magile, are you hearing me? Sounds like no. Keep showing as disconnected when I join your room. Well, let's try something here. How about now? Can you hear me now? Is it working? Are we Gucci? Hello, hello, hello? Gotta love technical difficulties. Yeah, we're working on that, Bread King. That's exactly what I told them to do. But they're saying that it's showing as disconnected when they join the room. Which, in my experience, has always been a connection issue, except that they're able to DM me directly. So, anyway. Let's try one more idea here. Are you hearing me okay now?
Oh, yeah, that worked. Cool.
All right. So, first of all, how do I pronounce your name?
Magile.
Magile, okay. So this is Magile, and we are going to be doing a VOD review. May I ask your pronouns?
Oh, he, him.
Him. Gotcha. So I'm going to, because we're in the DM now, so this is working a little bit differently than I was anticipating it. So I'm really quickly just going to set up so that I can share the screen and they can see it okay.
Of course.
And there we are. All right. A little loud.
Okay.
Got it. I will turn him down. Can I turn him down? There it is. Okay.
Is this better?
Yeah, that should be better. Alrighty. So, is this a solo queue match?
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So, let's get started here, and I promise we will get back to trailer analysis. I'm excited to do that, and I kind of jumped the gun on getting started because we didn't really have enough time to get through the whole thing, but we will get to the end of it later. There we go. So, it looks like we've got a solo queue match, and this is going to be, looks like tower control? Tower control. Is it not showing the checkpoints? Oh, now it shows the checkpoints. Interesting. I didn't realize it only shows those once you spawn in. So, tower control, and we're playing the junior, and we've got 2 Hydras. 2 Hydras in a bucket. This honestly isn't the worst, because this is Mahi Mahi. Honestly, this might work out. But the challenge for you here is that the Hydras can get picks. They're not going to be able to move in very fast. So it's kind of going to be really slow for your team pushing in at the beginning of all of this. The bucket getting underneath their ledge is going to be great, and you being able to get on tower and put the bubbler there is going to be great. And the Hydras can kind of take opposite angles from each other and get a lot of picks in mid because there's really not that much cover, especially if there are 2 of them looking at the same person. But I don't know how you get into mid until like half of the other team is down, and even then if the charger's still up, it might still be a problem. So the comp is not great, but we'll see what we can do. Their comp is a lot more balanced. They have a good mix of different damage types that they can hit up over the top of ledges, especially up over the tower and up over the ledges in front of mid. They've got a crab tank, and then they've got a charger to apply long range pressure. So I like their comp a lot better. We'll see what we can do here, though. So the dilemma of Mahi Mahi is that there is basically one space on the entire map that is actually safe for a frontline weapon to stand in for any length of time, and it is where your 2 teammates are on the left right there, behind that block. Dropping any place else should, in theory, just get you splatted. But also, standing right next to the Hydra is usually just not a thing that you want to be doing, and so I'm looking at your position like, I don't like where you're standing, but I also don't know where I want you to be standing.
Yeah, this opening part goes really bad, as you'll see in a second here.
Yeah, because, like, you'll notice that the Hydra walked away from you. That's in part to get a better angle on the opponents in front of you, but that's also just so that you're not shot blocking them when you stand up. And, like, every Hydra has had that experience where someone just stands in front of them and blocks all of their shots. Don't do that. So if you're going to be sitting back here chucking bombs, like, make sure you're doing so from a place that doesn't get in their way. So the bucket ends up taking out your only frontline weapon. So now your Hydra on the left is in some trouble, and I would definitely focus on that immediately to avoid them getting rushed down. So you start to try and go after it, but it's a little bit too late. And then you stand on top of the Hydra, and they target the Hydra. This is another problem with standing on top of the Hydra. Like, the Hydra is something that's very big and visible, and that is an immediate threat to everybody. And they need to deal with it. If you're standing on top of it, they're going to hit you too. So, being up here, again, like, it's got some problems. But also, where should I be telling you to stand? It's not a good place because it's not a good map. But I think the biggest thing there is that we just need to react really quickly to your teammate being rushed on left. Because as soon as like a fight is starting there, you need to start trying to have an impact on that as soon as you possibly can.
Okay.
So they're going to get tower. They're going to get first checkpoint. First checkpoint literally doesn't matter. They're probably going to get second checkpoint. That matters a little bit more, especially because it changes the map up. We're rushing in a little bit quickly here. We can't see map checks, but I would definitely be checking the map while I'm down here to make sure. And like, I always advise having the map open the entire time that you're down, because you'll just get more information that way, and it's not like difficult to maneuver or anything because you don't have to move while you're doing that. Like, it's one of the easiest ways to start map checking because it's so low risk. So have that information out right now and be kind of projecting, like, how far forward are the opponents going to be when I jump out here? Like, we already see a teammate going down on that ledge there, right? So by the time we jump to the spot that we're even highlighting right now, in theory, there could actually be someone shooting at that already. Like, we see that there's somebody on the left. They throw a burst bomb here. We know that there's somebody on the top right. If you go too far in, that player on the left hits you from the side, and the player in front hits you from in front, and now you're pinched. And remember that you again, because you don't have that much frontline support here, yes, you need to be pushing forward, but you got to be really careful how you do it because there's not going to be anybody up there with you. Okay, so Hydra does end up being able to help you with that, which is awesome. We get another one. I need to check and see how that... I missed how that went with the Flash Blaster a little bit. Once you get that player, or once that player goes down, we need to be, like, turning very quickly to collect information. And we don't do that, and so this clash sneaks up on us. So the information that we need is where the next threat is going to be coming from. That's your priority for what to look at. And when we turn around, it looks from, you know, the way that the spectator cam goes, that the camera is held very low. Like, look at how little you can see over the top of the ledge in front of you. If you keep your camera a little bit higher, now you can see more that's up over the top of that ledge. And you'll see this Clash Blaster coming before they're already, like, more than in range of you. They fire enough shots that they should splat you here. You're only alive because the first shot they fired was an indirect and the third shot missed. But if they'd hit 2 directs there, you're already down. And you're also not hitting your own shots that quickly either. So they probably had a chance to fire a 4th shot too before all of that happens. It's your Hydra here that saves you. So the big thing is to collect information so you know that fight is about to happen before they're shooting you already. Because they had initiative on you then in that fight, and it's mostly the fact that they misplayed and were, like, trying to fight you while a Hydra was looking at them that got them splatted here, rather than you, like, outmaneuvering them or something like that. Make sure that you always know what the next threat is, and that you're keeping yourself at the optimal distance to deal with it, and that you're pausing to get information on what is coming at you before you initiate some kind of engagement. This is another situation of not collecting information before you're going in. You do not know who's looking at you over the top here because your camera just can't show you that. So every time someone goes down, every time you have a second to think, get information on what the next thing is that you need to be looking at, and be looking at it before you go and do something. Because otherwise you're going to just kind of blindly run into whatever the enemy team is throwing at you. And in this comp, like, you're really important to the team because you're one of the few players that can actually go in there and maneuver. The Hydras need to take very specific positions from further back. They can't push around tricky bits of cover. They don't have quite as useful of bombs to be throwing. So, like, it's important for you to keep yourself alive, and so that makes it doubly important for you to be collecting information before you go in. Before you put yourself close to the enemy team. So the Hydras are getting ink vacked. And what a Chadley move. They just jump on there with the Hydra and get a double. Let's go. Good stuff, Hydras. All right. And the Tri-Slosher also in there to help. So rolling out into mid, you're painting up, and I want to talk a little bit about the paint. This is more of a minor optimization, but something I'm noticing is that in general, not just with information collection, but also it seems while firing, you're looking a little bit down, like you're aiming a little bit towards the ground. That's going to decrease your range and also your field of view. So let me switch over to the... Wait, no. Yeah, we'll go and do this demonstration real quick. So it's at 405. We'll just remember that. I don't remember what weapon I have equipped. Yeah, we should probably not do this on the roller. Let's do this on Splash is close enough. So if I look straight ahead at eye level and I fire, you can see it goes that far. Now I'm going to move directly to the right, and now I'm going to aim a little bit lower, and it goes that far. The same issue happens when you aim high. You know, that also doesn't go super far. And the same thing is happening with your effective range. Instead of firing out as far as the weapon will go, you're firing at a point lower down on the ground, and you can see where it's hitting the ground. It's not as far forward as you can hit. So, in general, I want you to be focusing on getting your aim back at eye level more often, so that you're keeping your maximum range. And that's not just your maximum fighting range, that's also your maximum painting range. Because you're painting right now, and if you're painting like this, then you're going to have to paint more often, because you're going to have to move and then stop to paint again, than if you're getting a good solid line down right there, and you can swim more of the way. That took me, what, like 4 stops to get almost the same distance that I can go in 2, if I'm aiming a little bit differently there. So that's a movement optimization that, like, it looks small, and maybe in this case it was small, but it can mean the difference between you getting behind cover safely and you not being there in time. So that's something that I would definitely focus on there. It's also, like, let's say I'm looking down like this. I can see, like, 5 targets, basically. Okay, besides that moving one. If I look right here, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Plus the moving one right there. It's the difference of just, like, changing your camera angle this amount, but that is enough to give you much, much more information and enable you to make decisions much more quickly without having to stop and, like, change what you're about to do.
Yeah, I never realized I was looking so far down while playing.
All right, 1 sec. There we go. Okay. And folks, if somebody is bothering you in chat, egging them on, debating with them or whatever is not going to change things, please do not engage in those kinds of situations. Anyway, we're gonna get back to 405 here, because that was where we were at before. Did I time that perfectly? I don't think I did. Ah, it was close enough. Okay. So, yeah, we're aiming down a little bit when we're firing there. And here now, we're up in a really exposed position. Like, mid and Mahi is a no man's land, just in general. And the only times that you want to be going through here are when you've got a bunch of players down and it's safe to. Now, you did get a bunch of players down just now, but the time that it has taken for you to move from your side of the map to their side of the map has made it such that they've had time to get back in. And you can see the bucket coming back in from there. So if you're going to start approaching this side, you've got to watch out for enemy ink like that. Like, maybe chuck a bomb over the top of this pillow because they've got a really clear line that goes all the way to it. It was a good, job from Big E hiding their charger laser there. But there were a couple of things that you could do to potentially keep yourself a little bit safer. Anyway. So, frontliners go 2 down, so now it's just 2 Hydras. Hydras are able to get a couple. 1 Hydra goes down, 2 for 2. I would not want to get on tower right this moment. We're 2v2. I'm looking at the heads-up display here, and that's something that it would be good for you to do as you're coming out and you're not threatened yet. Seeing that there's like a Hydra that far forward, you can know, like, okay, for the next 2 seconds, while I'm swimming towards them, I'm not going to have to, like, worry about someone flanking me or something, because the Hydra feels safe being that far forward, that much further forward than me. I can take a second to collect information, and the top is one really great way to collect that information, because that'll tell you, when you arrive in mid here, how many players are there going to be that you have to worry about. Right now there are 2, and one of them is crab tanking, and so you definitely want to be a little bit scared about this. Ooh, I do not like this push. You're in full view of a charger. There is no cover. You have to, like, drop over to the left side to be behind that ledge in order to be safe from them. And if the crab tank sees you there, then they're going to be able to splat you as long as there's no pressure from the Hydra, and you don't have any aggressive threat on the crab. So, from the information that I've collected, I already know that, like, I don't like this play, and I imagine you're probably going to go down for it. The charger's tracking you, and the crab is able to just ball. Okay. The charger probably should have sniped you. I'm going to say it straight up, that the fact that they did not splat you already is a mistake on their part, I think. But one nice thing is that you do recognize your Hydra is working with you, and you're able to get the crab to turn so that their back is facing the Hydra, and that's good teamwork. But the charger had, like, 2 free shots on you, and they missed them both. So this is the kind of play where once chargers get their aim on a little bit better, you will just get stopped immediately for it. And getting on tower is also very scary. You do get the bubbler on, and it looks like you recognize that it's scary because you get off right away. From this position, if you do still have the bubbler up, what you want to be doing is... Oh, whoops. You want to be right side peeking over the ledge. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So if you stand, with your right side to the front there, where that player's trying to come up, that's how you're going to be able to stop them. That's how you get an angle on them. Because you still have the big bubbler up for now. So if you focus on getting that player, like, and just shooting straight down past the ledge at them by right side peeking over it, you're going to be able to remove them from play, and now the only thing that threatens you is what's directly in front of you, instead of you having to worry about both the charger on that ledge in front and this guy who's climbing up to reach you here. Because this guy could, in theory, stop the checkpoint right now. And they decide to wait. They decide to Squid Surge. And that's how that goes. I do not recommend this Squid Surge play. I've been seeing so many people do it. I've been seeing so many people Squid Surge up over the ledge and drop a bomb on it, and they just get shot a lot of the time. Like, it's not faster than just getting up and ledge canceling, and the armor isn't doing them that many favors. I don't agree with it personally. But you're able to punish that. From here, with the Tri-Slosher getting up on tower as well, you probably... Ideally, what I would like is for the Tri-Slosher to get in front of you, because you're already riding the tower, and they're going to be better at pushing forward. They go and take this fight to the right, which leaves the tower kind of vulnerable. Seeing that the Clash Blaster is coming, I would probably duck off the tower here. Yeah, they should splat you for that. You stayed around long enough inside their range that they're going to be able to get you there. If you stall for a little bit, though, if you hop off the tower and, like, get to cover, but get into a position where you can get back on the tower easily, you can keep the tower exactly where it's at by getting off to keep yourself safe, then hopping back on to keep it there and getting back off again, and just kind of keep it there until your teammates are ready to come and collapse on this. Because right now, this is a 1v1 between you and the Clash Blaster. And they've already started hitting shots first, so you don't want to be anywhere near this. And you're probably not in range yet. Once your teammates get over here, the Clash Blaster has to get out of town. So you can just kind of stall until the backup shows up, and that's going to prevent you from going down and keep your numbers advantage. But you're able to get through that checkpoint as well. And if the player tries to stay on there, they're probably going to die. Yep. And that is what I expect will happen here. Getting that checkpoint was a victory. And we're going to need a bigger victory to push the rest of the way. Because you got to think about each checkpoint as being progress. The space in between checkpoints, I do not consider that much progress unless it's actually going towards getting the lead. They made it all the way to the last checkpoint, and they got 3/4 of the way through it. You can see that on the top left there. So unless you think that this push will get this tower 3/4 of the way through the checkpoint, making that number smaller isn't helping you at all. I don't care if you successfully push this to 19. If you know you're going to get stopped at 19, it's not worth it. Now, that's probably not something you know for sure, but the point is that getting it from 39 to 29 doesn't help you. Getting it from 29 to 19 doesn't help you. Getting it through the checkpoint does help you, because if it does get sent back to mid, you get to that checkpoint much faster now than you would if you hadn't gotten that checkpoint broken. So that's progress. But super jumping in here to a situation where there's nobody in front of the tower, there's nobody protecting the tower, and there's clearly someone on the enemy team who is on the tower fighting the tower, you're forcing yourself into a position where you have to collect a lot of information really quickly. There are probably multiple people looking at you because you're on the objective, which is the most important thing on the map. And there's only one other player on your team who's up to even have them look at. So this is probably a doomed jump, and the way that I'm determining that is by collecting information on numbers advantage and looking at the map screen so I know what's going on around this jump as I'm doing it. So, we got the checkpoint, we've got some time. It's not the end of the world that we lose that fight there. But we're slowing down our ability to get back into the match here by going down. I'm gonna look at what's happening on the right side here. Okay. So one thing I'm seeing on the right is my teammate went down, and that is a clue to me that tells me there is an opponent within range of that player. And knowing that there's an opponent within range of that player, and that all of the area near where my teammate was standing is painted the enemy's color, I have to assume, until I know otherwise, that there is someone at the furthest edge of that paint, and they're about to be in range of me. The first priority here is always what is the thing that threatens me most, and have I mitigated that threat enough? Right now, the Clash Blaster or the Splash or the Bucket could get in range of me before I know about them, and so I want to make sure that doesn't happen, and I want to be painting on the right-hand side here. That's where they could potentially come from. And that is exactly what happens. The Clash comes up over the ledge, and there's also the Splash that's coming up over the ledge. And so the Clash takes out your Hydra, and you're able to trade that back, but if the Splash had taken a fight against you, you probably would have gotten traded back, and then they'd have height advantage over your teammate here. So that's information that we could be collecting from looking at enemy ink and determining okay, teammate just went down, and also there's enemy ink around where they went down, so there could be someone here, and I need to check that. I like this play up until the point where you push too far around the tower. In that situation, you need to be using the tower pole to protect yourself from the bomb. And so as soon as that goes out, you're kind of trying to project, okay, what is 180 degrees around the tower pole from that bomb? And you just want to make sure that you're there very accurately. So you get the pick, you trade it. We end up in a slight advantage. Probably not enough of an advantage to get this tower all the way through mid, though. And if you stay alive there, because you can probably get that pick while staying alive, if you're able to do that, then you're in a much better position, because that puts your team in a 4v2 instead of a 3v2. Again, very worried about the charger there. Let me check for a second, see if you're running Ninja Squid. But if you're not, the charger can definitely see that. And even if you are, some of the stronger ones can. Okay, you are running Ninja Squid, so that pushes a little safer, but even this jump on the right side of the tower here, if they've got charge already, I know a lot of players who just hit that. They actually do, and it just lags. But, yeah. As soon as the charger laser is up, they can... You almost have to treat it like a hit scan weapon. You almost have to treat it like, if they see me, I am dead. And if they didn't make me dead, then that was because they messed up as a human player. Not because I was in a position that kept me safe from them. So instead of going up the side of the tower like that, just like keep the tower between you and them to begin with. And you always want to have that sort of mindset with a charger on the map especially. Hydras are almost the same. You have a little bit more time with a Hydra, but not much. But with a charger especially, you just need to not give them sight lines. And that's the only way that you really stay safe. Alright, I like the hesitance to get in here. And I like the idea, because you know that the Booyah Bomb is going to smoke screen you. And so this is, like, I see, you know, what you're going for with making this play. And there is definitely, you know, an element that this helps you with stealth. What I would probably want to do here is, if I'm going to make the play around the tower, I probably... Getting on the tower immediately lets someone know you're there, first of all. So, like, as soon as you're right here and there are words on the screen, they're seeing those words too, and they know that there's someone up here. So, you've already kind of lost your stealth, whereas maybe if you, like, shark on the right side of the tower, like on that patch of purple ink to the right of you, maybe then you can, like, hit them in the side as they try to approach the tower or something like that. And you're also safer from the charger up there, because it isn't, eventually it looks like the charger who gets you. Or maybe not. No, it is the slosher. But another thing to think about is, like, you might want to put a bomb out there first or something like that, because otherwise you're in a 1v2 here. There are two players looking at you, and you might get the jump on one of them like you do, but after that, they're likely to trade back unless you displace them somehow. And a bomb in front of them actually would have done a really good job of that. If you'd, like, rolled a bomb off the side of the tower, that would have kept someone from approaching it. You would have gotten the one who's on the wall of the tower, because at that point, they're trying to commit to being on it, and so they're going to swim up as fast as they can, and so you get them from that. And then the other player is forced to back away from it before they can do anything about you, and you might have time to get away. In all of that, though, you probably could have been sniped because you weren't keeping something in between you and the charger. And so that's, again, something like we just talked about. Whenever there's a charger on the map, you just always want to have that kind of cover. And that's one of the reasons that I suggested going to the right-hand side, because it's easier for you to just go squid form and duck behind that wall than it is for you to keep the tower pole in between you and the charger player. Alright. So they do a silly and decide to push the tower in a 1v3 against two Hydras. That is how that goes for them. I like the aggression. Unfortunately, the charger backed up already. Looked like they saw it coming, or maybe they were just spawning in. I think they actually were just spawning in, now that I think about it. Let me take a quick look. Yeah. Yeah, the charger probably wasn't able to be there yet, because I think you're expecting the charger to be on this position, because this is where the charger always is. And you're like, oh, wait, there's nobody there. And now you get shot in the back. So, it might be good to wait from that position and see what they're looking at, or like confirm that they're actually there before you go for the flank. But I totally get like the play that you're going for here, and I probably would have done something similar. Not seeing that there was someone over there, I might have tried to put my back against the wall that's right underneath your special gauge there and wait for someone to go by me before I go in, just so that I know I have a target instead of moving out into the middle of enemy ink without enough of a plan to get a pick right away. I would be very careful about dropping off this ledge. Because think about what this ledge means here. Let's say someone paints your feet right now. Where do you go? Everything around you is unpaintable. There's a wall to your back if you drop off this box. And if you have to stop and like paint your feet to jump to the ledge behind you, you're standing still for a pretty long time and you're exposed there. So that's something that someone could definitely pick off. So I would hesitate to drop off here, especially since your only frontliner is down now. There's a lot that you're kind of committing to. And committing isn't bad. It's just you need to commit when you know that you're going to get value for committing. Here, it wasn't clear that there was a pick you were going to be able to get. It wasn't clear that you were going to be able to take some space and like establish yourself enough that they couldn't just push right through you. You weren't like controlling the objective with this play, and you weren't teaming up with another teammate, so probably not likely to get a lot done just because of the position that you were in. So I probably would like wait around on the ledge and wait and see, like maybe once you can see you can get a pick by flanking someone, or that you can see that the charger's not looking and you're able to get further in, maybe then you're going to be able to do something from there. But for that moment, dropping off the ledge was probably going to get you splatted. All right, I like this push. You recognize that they're weakened and that they're focused on moving around to avoid damage. Getting on the tower here is probably okay. You've got to watch out for the charger, but you know where the charger is because you know that they're looking over on the left-hand side instead. And so great time to pop the big bubbler. Now, Tri-Slosher, please, for the love of God, get in front of the tower. Okay, cool. Inkjet, that works too. Now, they're going to drop back a little bit behind you once this is done, and you want to be really careful. But you're going to be able to get lead from this, which is great. So yeah, well played. Getting on the tower was definitely the right play there. You had a 4v2 advantage. We created just enough space in front of us that we were going to be able to get control. I kind of would have preferred if the Tri-Slosher had inkjetted just the tiniest bit further forward so that when their inkjet retracted, they would be able to get up in front of the tower right away instead of having to jump all the way back and then move back forward again to get into a defensive position. The Hydras sure as heck aren't going to be able to push up in front of you here. And so it's basically just up to the Tri-Slosher to keep this push safe. But you do manage to survive just long enough to get lead, and that could very easily win your team the game just for having done that. The Hydra trying to go for more is very greedy with that many players down. So we want to be really careful right now because the enemy team just got a lot of us down. We're a little bit staggered. One of our teammates is going to be down for longer than any of them are going to be down for, so we're going to be at a numbers disadvantage for the first little bit. We don't need to push into mid. We don't need to play mid at all, really. We just need to stop them when the tower gets up into a position that we control and they can't see. But with, especially with a special coming out, with the charger going to have an open sightline on us, with the fact that we still have this armor that is going to reveal our position to the enemy team, even if we have Ninja Squid, we want to be really careful about where we're sitting right here, and we do not have any cover right now. All of that time that you were standing up there, you could potentially have gotten sniped, I believe. And you're also being watched by the players on the right-hand side who are looking to come over the top in front of the tower. As players get better, they're going to start pushing up as frontliners in front of the tower more and more. They're going to focus more and more on going and creating that defensive perimeter around it, catching people out, shooting at the tower, knowing that they're going to be shooting at the tower and shooting them first. So the position that you took gave the enemy team a lot of information about your position, and now you're probably going to get punished for that by someone who's engaging on you for it. Thankfully, the Hydras, you had literally 2 Hydras looking at you to back you up, and and there was a Toxic Mist, and that is the reason that this player had to back off and not splat you. I do like your positioning on the right here. I think you put yourself a little bit out of range to get to the tower, because what you can do here, being a frontline weapon, you know, open sightlines are naturally just something that you don't like. Now, being over here, I actually like a lot, because this lets you get behind one of the blocks that's in front of you and just swim right up to the back of it. And then as soon as you see an opening, as soon as maybe that charger fires their shot and they're going to have to charge another one, you're as close as you possibly can get to them while still being safe. And now you can just go in and close all of the distance you need to get right under the tower and make it impossible for them to hit you before they can get another shot on. And it depends on their frontliner now to protect the charger from you, because you win that matchup straight up. What ends up happening, though, is instead of sitting behind the cover and being stealthy, you throw a bomb from a little bit further behind it, and then you have to swim forward. And you can see the charger did actually get a shot off, and that could have been on you. Whereas if you hide behind the cover and wait until they've fired a shot and then go, and you're keeping the distance between you and the tower as close as possible before you come out from behind cover and you don't reveal your position, they probably don't get that shot. Now, I don't think they're going to win the game anyway. You've got the Hydras looking at it, you wipe them, 7 seconds left, game over. But the same principle applies, where it's a matter of keeping yourself behind cover from the charger whenever you possibly can. So, that comp sucked, and I'm glad that you were able to win with it. On Mahi, double backline does actually kind of make a little bit of sense. It just makes it really difficult on your team actually getting the lead. That was the tough part. And you were one of the best weapons for the job of getting that lead, and you saw the opportunity. You had a 4v2 situation. You went and took it. You popped the big bubbler, and you stayed alive just long enough to get that one extra point that you needed, and that is what won your team the game straight up. Because your Hydras, for as much work as they did, as much as their KA was probably through the roof here, they could not have done what you did, and so that was really well played. It was very close, and there were a lot of deaths that we could have avoided that would have given us more opportunities to make that play. The big source of those deaths was the charger, although also just not respecting ledges that frontliners could be under, especially that right-hand side. Like, that's the only really clear way for the Clash and the Splash to get in. They could go from the far left, but that's a little bit easier to spot out, and they don't have a lot of cover if they're doing that, so usually they're going to try and go over the right, and that wasn't something you were looking for that much. But the charger laser was the big thing. Like, anytime there's a charger on any map whatsoever, always, always, always be looking for where that sight line is and be putting cover in between you and it for as long as possible. You only want to move through their sight lines when you know that they don't have charge because they've just fired a shot, and that's not a very long length of time either. We're getting to the level where, like, the chargers are starting to hit shots, and you're going to start needing to respect that more and more as time goes on. Also looks like they had a DC at some point there. I missed where the DC happened, so...
It happened at the very end.
Very end? Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Doesn't really make a difference then. But, so... I talk about that a lot in the video Frontline Positioning Basics, where I talk about the necessity of keeping stuff in between you and your opponent to be able to close distance. So that would be a good refresher to look at and to start trying to work on. And I think the big thing that I would say for you to work on is try to figure out what the biggest threat is to you right away. Like, be collecting that information second by second, and be putting yourself in positions or painting defensively so that you can mitigate that threat as much as you can. So if that threat is the charger, because they're the only one that's in range of you, then make sure you've got cover from the charger. If the front line is pushing up over the ledge, then make sure that you've got the right distance for the fight with those frontliners. And be thinking a little bit more proactively, be looking for a little bit more information on the numbers advantage and enemy ink and where it is on the map, so that you can be looking in the right places to get information about the enemy positions before they're in range of you, before you've actually accidentally stumbled into them. That's kind of been the trend with, like, every time you got splatted, it was a position where you were just trying to kind of move forward to play the objective without knowing that there was enemy ink nearby, without knowing that someone could have just painted there, or someone just splatted your teammate there, or without knowing that the charger was posted up in a position where they could see that. And so as you're pushing forward, like, you want to be collecting information about those threats so that you're, before you ever get into danger, you're already mitigating that danger. And that's how you're going to be able to move forward a little bit more safely, so you're not just getting sniped on Mahi over and over again. Because, man, this stage is awful to play against a charger on, and I dislike it and don't ever want to play it in a tournament. Anyway, do you have any questions for me?
No, not at this moment, no.
All right. And if something ever comes to you, maybe you're watching the VOD back or something like that, feel free to let me know, and I'm happy to answer those in DMs or whatever else. Would you like for me to play a match on Junior and talk about my decision making as I move up? Would you like to play around with me? We've got about 5 minutes.
You can play a match yourself. I'm not by my Switch right now.
Gotcha. Okay. So the big thing that I'm probably going to talk about here is how I'm moving forward. I will try and play a little bit more frontliney. Well, try to. I will, whether I like to or not, because that is how I play this video game. And I'll be talking about, like, here is what I am thinking as I'm advancing. Here is what I'm looking for, and, like, here's how I'm collecting this information quickly enough that nothing's catching me off guard. Oh my goodness, I am not used to missing shots while my aim is on. Well, I was just playing a whole bunch of Splash, and that weapon doesn't miss, and it's really nice that it doesn't miss. It always does exactly what you tell it to. It exposes you if your aim is not on. It tells everybody, hey, this guy just missed because they missed with the Splash. All right, here we go. So, Rainmaker, we've got a whole bunch of bombs. I think we definitely win this pop. We just need to get to the Rainmaker as fast as the other team does, and then we're good. I definitely missed with my bomb, and that might actually not have hit it, but it didn't even matter because they didn't go for it. So we know that the tent was the furthest one forward, and we were able to take them out because they got way in front of their shield. They had somebody else with them, but I'm pretty sure we took them down. Yeah, it's just the Rainmaker carrier. Cool, cool, cool. So, we're just going to go straight to here. This way, this way, this way. Oh, no. Well, that didn't work. The tent was able to get there in time. Going left there is not what I prefer, because left is the easier first checkpoint to get to, but right is the better way to push the rest of the way. I'm totally fine to go in for that dunk, because even though I know I'm going to go down for it, the checkpoint is worth it. Lets us make more progress, and now it's going to be less likely to suck us over to the left-hand side, where the rest of the push is more dangerous. I'm worried about the heavy above, so I'm coming back behind cover over here. There is a lot of decision-making that I am making that is difficult to discuss all at once, but I noticed that there was a threat up to the upright, and so instead of focusing on what I had been focusing on, which was the left-hand side, I was like, wait, I need to have something in between me and this backline weapon before they're on top of me. I'm worried about that threat because they're right in front of me. Unfortunately, the VAC saved that player. They're going to lead for that. But here, you can see that, like, they're trying to push right, and this is not... Oh, they've got a tent. That's why that's working. I'm just going to try and get this out of here right away because it's very close to KOing, and I just don't want that to be a threat. Okay, they dropped down there, so they're going to have to come through there. I might die here. No, we're good. I need some support, though. I don't know where everybody's at. I guess they're all dead. As the junior, like, you're in this situation as well, especially, like, you're definitely the best, like, Rainmaker carrier for the team, because there are 2 of you. So even if one of you grabs the Rainmaker, you still have a junior on your team. Oh, let's go. Okay, we just need to watch out for this tent again, because they've been getting in the way in a big way. Oh, no, they're over here. Where are we that we are not seeing what is threatening me? I guess we ran all the way forward, but the Rainmaker wasn't there yet, and there were definitely some paths that we needed to protect to keep it safe. We did a good job of slaying, though. Now we can move this forward. We want to paint for the Rainmaker so it doesn't have to paint for itself, because the Rainmaker painting is way slower. Okay, we get them. I isolated that player into a 1v2 instead of trying to fight into a 1v1 instead of trying to fight the 1v2. I ran away from the tent at a range that they're not going to really be able to do that much damage. And sharked up to the 52. This is a risky play, and probably actually pointless, because we need to make it to 9. So, I jumped the gun there. I don't know why I thought that we were going to be able to get lead that fast. It's not a play that I should have made. But I was also partly trying to just keep the Rainmaker where it is instead of letting it reset. So letting it reset undoes a lot of progress and lets them move forward a lot further into mid. So, like, picking it up is definitely something we wanted to do at some point there, but I couldn't just pick it up and run with it. I had to, like, pick it up and just do that to maintain control. I'm marked right now. I know that the enemy team knows where I am, and so I'm not going to make any aggressive plays just yet, unless I have to. We know that there's someone up here. We're not going to challenge. We are going to challenge, because I thought that they backed up further, and then they did not. We have to jump into this. There are only 15 seconds left. Normally, this would not be considered especially safe, but I'm going to go for it, because we only have 8 seconds to save the game, and I did not think that that would hit through it. Apparently it does. Ugh. Alright. There was a part in there that I want to go back to, because I think it was a good example of the sort of awareness that I'm talking about. So I'm going to go back and go through that on the replay really quick, and we'll kind of compare and contrast to what we were seeing in the Mahi game. Not all of that was great. A lot of that was me kind of diving in and feeding. But there were a couple of moments there where I kept myself alive in places where I think, like, the version of you that was playing in Mahi, at least, probably would have gotten splatted. Okay. So, boom, boom, boom. Yes. Play. We will be getting back to trailer analysis. We're not done with the trailer yet. We just had a lesson that happened to be during that time. Okay. So I think it was around, like, this part here. I think it's after the first engagement. So we have this engagement with the tent umbrella here. We jump in. Dunk. We go down. And now, is this it? Because the heavy's still back there. I don't know if this is it. We'll see. So I'm collecting information here. I spot that there's a fight on the left. I realize I can't help with that safely because this is a 52 who's around over here. And something I just saw out of the corner of my eye was the heavy on the right side of the screen. So right So right now my focus is the 52, right? Because my teammate's fighting that, and that's something I'm trying to deal with. But look at the top right of my screen. The 52 can't hit me. They're not an immediate threat. This player on the right side of my screen, they're actually really close to me. Actually, I think this is the first time that I noticed them. So they probably could have like gotten picks on me if they'd gone for me. But right here, I noticed them. And I'm like, oh, wait. I don't want to be out in the open. Because if the 52 pushes me from the front, the heavy has me from the right side. And so what I do is I back away from the 52, which puts me out of their range. And I put this wall in between me and the heavy. And so now neither of those two players can hit me, even though I'm in this 2v4 situation where my teammates have gone down, and I'm able to keep myself a lot safer. Like, this player is going to use their charge up, and okay, I end up trading. This was a little premature. What I was trying to do was wait until their charge was used up and then attack them, but I definitely went up a little bit too early there, forced to play a little too quickly. They missed some shots, which let me trade, but that shouldn't go in my favor. So don't copy that part of it, but the part where I recognize that there is a more immediate threat than the one that I'm focusing on, and then respond to that first, that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about in the video I put out most recently, where you have these alarm bells that set off in your head when certain things happen in the corners of your screen. When you spot those kinds of things, that should like immediately shift your attention away from whatever it was you were looking at and make you focus on the more immediate threat. So that's the sort of threat assessment that I want you to be trying to make, and I think that will improve your game a lot, because you're making good plays while you're still alive. The problem is staying alive more. So if you stay alive, you're going to be able to have more of an impact, and you're going to be able to, you know, make those smart objective plays. You're going to be able to follow up on fights with your team, and you're going to be able to make it so that matches are much easier to win because you're keeping yourself in them for longer. So, thank you so much for reserving the session. And now I am probably going to go and switch back over to the trailer review, unless you have any further questions that have come up in that time.
No. Thank you for your time.
Awesome. You have a good one.
You too.
Alrighty. So let's get swapped over now to Chill Season. Okay. All right. Flounder Heights. I don't know what it originally looked like. The middle definitely looks very similar. It's the area around spawn that I think is significantly different from my recollection of it. Because I went and like looked up what the map looked like, because there was a callouts video in anticipation of this map being released, so that I could see if like I could remember and learn the callouts that we used to use, so that I would be kind of caught up once the map did release. X Battles being here is huge and needed. We need some kind of system for ranking people that is gonna actually matter and not be based just on like the letter rank that is usually going to increase anyway. Like there are definitely people who are getting stuck at certain ranks right now, but once you hit about S+, you're kind of just likely to increase in rank after a certain point. Like, once you're able to not be in debt in S+, once you're able to, like, hang there, you're going to be able to get it to S+50 with enough time. Like, none of the gradations after, like, S+0, S+1 or so matter that much, because you're just kind of getting rank ups for playing longer is sort of how that works. X Battles give people much more meaningful goals to work towards at especially the higher levels of ranked. And if this is purely based on Glicko like it was in Splatoon 2, this is going to mean a lot more than your letter rank in series. So I'm excited for this. Okay, so Mini. I think it was Toxic Mist Big Bubbler that we've confirmed we have here. Yeah, they just popped that Big Bubbler and they just threw that Toxic Mist. So that confirms the entire kit of the Mini. And to be clear, we already have, where was it? Was it this? Yeah, it's this. So we already have this right here. This is already like, yeah, let me zoom in a little bit on that. There we go. So this is something that Beta put together, who was a TO and very important community member. They came up with all of these from what we saw in the trailer, and I'm assuming that these are accurate until I'm shown otherwise. But there was one slight inaccuracy that they made later on. They assumed that an angle shooter was thrown by the charger, when in fact it was... a point sensor was thrown by the charger, when in fact it was definitely thrown instead by the new shooter, which Chara confirmed using the amount of ink that the sub-weapon took, because you can see the line on the back of their ink tank. So the shooter is the one that has the point sensor, and this is actually a less updated version of what Beta put up there. So reason I put all that out there is that there was one thing that Beta got wrong, so... I'm assuming that this is correct until we see otherwise, but that we have seen otherwise in at least one case so far. But that is what the things are looking like there. So let's get back to this. So that's just the mini kit. There's nothing new about that. We got the Dapples here, which have Torpedo. I'm going to go out and say this is already the best Dapple Doolies kit that I think we've ever had. That's a strong claim, because people are seeing some use out of the Dapple Doolies like that currently are in the game, but they have a sub-weapon that can poke, and they are guaranteed 100% to not have splashdown like the last Torpedo kit that the Dapple Doolies had. So... whatever it is that they end up giving this thing, it's probably going to be the best kit that the Dapples have ever had, and that will be really interesting to see. Now, they could be really lame and just give it, like, Rain again or something like that, but imagine for a second that they give it the Torpedo and, like, Reef Slider, so that they're mimicking the clear Dapple Doolies kit that was in Splatoon 2. Like, a lot of the weapons that had Splashdown in Splatoon 2 have just been given Reef Slider, and that's kind of been the replacement for them in this game. So, if that ends up being the case, then we have Dapple Doolies with Torpedo Reef Slider. That kind of works. That's something that I feel like these weapons can use, especially since, like, they're still going to be vulnerable at the end of the Reef Slider, but they're going to be less vulnerable than, like, most other weapons, because they're going to be able to roll right away, and their roll is even more extreme in terms of speed and throwing your aim off than the Tetris rolls are. FLC puts it like, the Dapple's roll is not a roll, it's a teleport. You're just going to be from point A to point B instantly, like in one frame. And obviously the roll doesn't take one frame to go through, but it's going to move you in discrete chunks because the roll is so fast. And so, like, this is one of the... it's like having Drop Roller, basically. Is it the safest thing? No, but it's safer than having nothing. And this weapon now has that. That wouldn't be a bad option for it. Now, obviously, a Dapples player probably prefers to have one of the more powerful specials right now. A Booyah Bomb, you know, is something they would probably really like, because it can keep itself alive in engagements that way. There are a lot of options that you could give this thing that would be powerful, but even if it's mimicking that kit, I could see this being pretty solid. So that was definitely a weapon that needed another kit. It needed a way to poke, and it finally has that. Luna Blaster, I think we saw, had Fizzy. Yeah, it has Fizzy Bomb, and then we don't know what special it's got, but this could easily just be Fizzy Bomb and Rain. It could be the Kensa Luna kit that came from Splatoon 2, which was basically never played because why would you play the Luna Blaster with the Fizzy if you could play, like, the Machine with the Fizzy and get a better special? And, yeah, anyway. Sorry, that weapon was never played in Splatoon 2, not for that reason, but in this game, I feel like it would be heavily outclassed. It's a weirdly supportive kit to give a Luna Blaster. I guess this kind of lets it paint for itself a little bit more, which is nice. Like, being able to paint for itself is cool, but it's very conspicuous paint. Like, you're causing 3 explosions in that area. It's not like you're going to sneak through this. It's not like you can, like, drop a curling bomb out and just slip through it very quickly. It's not that kind of painting for yourself. I guess it's nice to be able to throw a single charge Fizzy and work with it that way, because that does kind of work like a curling bomb does. So it helps it a little bit with mobility. It helps it a little bit with paint. But if they just give it like the Inkstorm kit again, it's stuck in this weird position where it feels like it's a support weapon, even though it can't paint. And you'd rather just have something else than in that case. So who knows? You know, if they give this like a more aggressive special, then this could actually be really interesting. Like, maybe give it like a Trizuka so that it has an option to paint, it has an option to shark, and it has an option to attack someone from much longer range. Like, I think all of those would be really interesting choices for the Luna Blaster to have, and that might make it more versatile than it has been thus far in Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 3. But we'll have to see. Give it crab? Please no. We don't need more crab weapons. We need crab to be nerfed, but I don't know. Maybe we do need more crab weapons, because all we're really running with crab is Splash right now. L3 is cool, and I wish it were played more, but otherwise, yeah, that's kind of the crab weapon of choice. Seesaws, yay! So we got a Booyah Bomb coming out. There are probably some details in here that I'm missing, but... and then the rest of this, I think, is just all big run stuff. Which I don't want to completely disregard. This trailer is sick, by the way. It's like, we're assembling all of our secret agents. They're running through the back alleys to assume their secret identities as well, they're all wearing waterproof gear and like rain boots and stuff, but it's cooler than it sounds. So we've got positioning of egg baskets, and it looks like they are using like more of the map, which is really cool. Like, Wahoo World honestly has potential to be a cooler Salmon Run map than it is a multiplayer map. And I just love the idea that it's normally like an amusement park, but it's been overrun by and scorched by the war against the salmonids. And squeeze! So before it was Big Run is coming, now it's Big Run is imminent. So, what does that mean? I don't know. But hey, we've got this, this like martial arts protective headgear. Plus like a nice jacket and some sneakers to go with it. We've got an absolutely sick sweater that I definitely want to own, with some specs that have a sticker on them for some reason. Got another nice set of... Well, this is a cheap plastic set of glasses, but... Looks like it? I don't know, because those looks like some thick lenses, too. Hard to say. And like a sweater. But, cool. Okay. Let's go back in and see if there's, like, anything more that we can see by, like, going through this slowly. So this is where the tower is, and the tower path goes to the right, and then back to the left. Is this in the middle of the map? We did see a super jump come in here, and this could actually give us a really good view of what the map looks like. Yeah, I think they're super jumping in from here. No, no, yeah. They land here, and then it looks like they like drop roll, or they roll straight off. Okay. So this is going down the right side of mid from Flounder Heights. Thanks, power lines. Okay. So this, well, okay, let's get rid of the power lines. This is about the best view we're going to get of it. So, So spawn is here, and all of this area looks uncontestable. So you can get up to the top right, and you could go down all the way to the left. So fairly wide spawn area. Are these two areas at a different elevation from each other? Oh, yeah, okay, so I think you have to go up here and then up this ramp to come around to the left. So this area looks really difficult to spawn camp. And then this is a snipe area that's just completely uncontestable, it looks like, from the front. Unless there's like a wall right here. And then there's a rail that gets you someplace into mid. I think we see this little joint here in the rail. I don't know much else about where that rail goes. But this is all unpaintable. Okay. So dropping out to the right-hand side as the defending team here looks really safe. Like, it looks like this is just going to be a very free way for a backline weapon to get up into this position and have, like, a sniper nest. Which was a feature of the map. I don't know to what degree it was that safe before, but that looks like it's going to be a really safe way back in, and it's going to take a really dedicated frontliner to go all the way up and around and here and get under this ledge to be able to camp them. It's nice that you still can do that if you get far enough forward. Like, I don't like maps where when you gain an advantage, you just can't move any further forward and you're forced to just sit in the same place. That you can actually move further forward on the map. And that gives you kind of a stretch goal as a frontliner, but it is going to be that. It's going to be really difficult to push into because this whole trench that you have to run through, or, you know, maybe you can drop down from over here or something, but that whole area is going to be pretty heavily contested. So it's not likely that you're going to be able to get here super safely. Oh, wait, I think they just painted this rail. Did they? No, never mind. The rail's over here. And the rail goes out to about there. Yeah, I don't know what this rail is meant to jump you to. And where are they now? This is the defending team on the way down. And they're all clumped up in the same place. A single booyah bomb here would be devastating, but that's neither here nor there. And then this is the new weapon, Forge question mark, that has Booyah Bomb, which is sick. And there's a Suction Bomb. Okay, so that confirms that that weapon is both Suction Bomb and Booyah Bomb. So that's interesting. They took two elements from, if this is a Splattershot Pro, they took two elements from Splattershot Pros and combined them into this one. Because the Forge from Splatoon 2 had Suction Bomb and Bubble Blower, and the Kensa Splattershot Pro from Splatoon 2 had Splat Bomb and Booyah Bomb. So this is kind of a hybrid of those two things. I think this is a somewhat worse kit for it than the Splatoon 2 Kensa Pro, because the K-Pro was able to play a lot more aggressively with the Splat Bomb. If you're going to put a Suction Bomb on it, it wants to play a little bit more supportive. It wants to play a little bit more for crossfire support and not starting, getting into fights by itself. And, if this had a lot more paint, I would really like the Suction Bomb, because then it could play safely and it could paint for Booyah, and it could throw the Suction Bomb to stall the objective. I still feel like this doesn't really have that much of a niche. Like, K-Pro itself was falling off pretty hard towards the end of the Splatoon 2 meta, largely because it was having to compete with the K-Gal, which just had a better main weapon in general, painted better, and splatted faster. It had a little bit less range, but not by that much. And the sub-weapon really synergized with it so well for taking fights. So there was just not that much of a reason to run a K-Pro over a K-Gal. And here, I feel like there's not that much reason to run this Pro over a sloshing machine. Because you're thinking like, okay, we want a Booyah Bomb, we want a midline weapon. Which one do we go with? It just has too much synergy with that sub-weapon on the sloshing machine. And the range is too similar. Like, I'm not sure I see that much of a use case for this thing. The use case for this thing is like, you have a player who is good at shooters and is not that great at sloshing machine. And they want to run Booyah Bomb. That's feels like about it, and that's not even that great of a reason, because like I play shooters and I do fine on the sloshing machine when I try to run that thing. Like it's a weapon that like anybody can pick up right now. So I'm not sure I see that one being immediately that useful unless it's a different weapon than we think. Wait a minute. That looks different. I don't think that's the same as the weapon we saw before. Look at the shape of it. It's got this like yellow triangular tip, just like the Forge Pro does. Where's a good shot of the new one? Oh no, it's got the yellow tip. Is that the same as the weapon that we're seeing over here? Shoot, I forget what freeze frame that was. It was like hereabouts. Yeah, it was just before this. Right? No, it's just after this. So they throw the suction bomb, and that throws me off about how they're holding the weapon. Is that the same thing? I don't think that's the same, is it? It's got this, like, white thing with the black. And then there's a reddish ink tank, and that shape in the back. Compared to... I don't see this, like, whitish here. That might actually be a different weapon. What do you guys think? Has the red pipe. Yeah, and that's not really a pipe. Okay, so they're completely different. So this is not the Forge Splattershot Pro. So what's the difference? What does this thing do that the other one doesn't? It's so hard to tell from this footage. Like, this is the only footage we see of this thing being fired. Maybe it's a little bit more rapid fire? That's definitely an inaccuracy right there. We can, like, look at how accurate the shots are. So maybe this is, like, more of a rapid fire sort of weapon that's a little bit less accurate. Although they are just holding down the trigger, so of course it's going to go a little bit less accurate now. Are they fire... Well, what's the fire rate of this compared to the splatter shot that it's fighting? That's a good question. It looks like this thing is firing faster than the splatter shot. So let's just count how many shots that they're firing before the splatter shot stops. So 1 for each. Second shot's out for each. What happened there? So it goes 1. Yeah, it looks like they're about exactly the same fire rate. I just can't tell what this thing does that the other doesn't. Maybe it's like longer range, fast fire rate, but less accurate. So it's kind of like a mini, but in shooter form. Definitely a gimmick we can't see from the footage, yeah. It seems like this roller might paint a little bit more widely. So maybe this is gonna be like the painting roller that new players go to, where they're like, I want to just roll around the map because swinging the roller is hard. Like this is gonna be a better option for those players, but like maybe it's optimized to be rolled with. Maybe it's like faster when you roll or something like that. I don't know. I looked at it earlier with the splat roller in like that's currently in the game, and it looks like the trail is slightly wider, and maybe I haven't checked to see if they're moving faster, but it's really hard to judge that based on this footage because it's coming from an angle that we don't normally see gameplay from. So it's on a map that we don't know. So I can't like recon this map and time the distance, time that it takes to move the same distance. So that looks pretty similar to the run speed of the splat roller, and it might just paint a little bit more. Maybe I'm just seeing things. We did look up close up at the roller, and aesthetically it looks different. Like it's not the same exact design. It's got different plasticky bits on it. So maybe it's a reskin of the splat roller, or maybe it's something new entirely. It's hard to say because they said on the website that they're new weapons, but is the Kensa splatter shot and the Tentatek splatter shot? Those are two different weapons, right? They have different kits, even though they don't have different. I don't know. It's difficult to say right now, and we need more details. But so we talked about this thing already. It's a repeating rifle, so you get a full charge like you would with a charger, and that loads it with 5 shots. And then it's difficult to say how you hold those shots if you move or if you swim or something, but it takes 2 of those shots to splat. And so having 5 of them, that means a single charge gets you 2.5 players if you hit all of them, which would be really cool. It's just a question of like, are you going to get rushed in that time? Are you going to have to move? In the game state right now, I feel like this is probably a little bit weaker than another charger because you're probably going to get forced to move. An E-liter will like fire 1 shot and then just have to relocate. You know, a Hydra will get its shot off and then it's going to get pelted with bombs and stuff. But this thing does have really good range. And it looks like it's not super slow. Like, pew, pew. That's a little bit slower than a bamboo. Like, what's that similar to? Maybe like a 52 if you miss a shot. Not a super fast kill time, but it is very long range, and, you know, if someone's consistent with their aim and they can hit those shots really reliably, you don't have as much of a... One of the things that makes that the bamboo and this weapon unique is that because they have so much less downtime than the other chargers, it's a lot less of a problem if they miss a shot. They can just fire another one really quickly. So it's controlling that space for longer, even if it's controlling it weaker. I think that's going to be a really interesting option that a lot of backliners are going to want to at least consider. But we'll have to see. You know, it has Tacticooler apparently. That's what people were saying, which is not what you want on that thing at all. It is awful. It's a backline weapon, and to use cooler, it's going to have to like run forward to give it to people, or it's going to have to use it for itself. And what does it want to use it for itself for? Like its whole thing as a backline weapon is not to die. That's not great for it. Hopefully it gets a better kit at some point, but I am going to go use the restroom really quickly, and then I'll kind of give my final thoughts, because I do my best thinking in the bathroom. That is a fact about all humans. Anytime you've got a hard problem, just go take a bathroom break, and you'll probably find the answer by the time you're done with it. True story, has happened to me multiple times. Well, it worked too well, guys. I solved so many problems in my head during that bathroom break that, well, I went and solved world hunger, and now I'm gonna have to go and leave the stream forever and be implementing that solution for the rest of my life. So, what are you gonna do? No. Um, Welcome everybody. Sorry for the jump scare. I solved world peace. Yes, that is what I said. Okay. I don't think they're gonna add a new ranked mode for yet. If they're gonna add a new ranked mode, that'll probably come a lot later, because like there is just like functionality they have already promised that is gonna be in the game that is not in the game yet. Like they're talking about Big Run, talking about X battles and League battles. They've already talked about those. Clam Blitz came after all of that stuff, after stuff that like we weren't even expecting it. So I imagine that that's gonna happen a little bit later on. So. Don't read past chat, please. Okay, let's go and see what happened there. Looks like a bunch of Woomies and Vimos. Stick players convince us why we should play sticks while Gem is gone. Oh my god. Oh dear. Thank you for your lessons. I made it S+. Hey, let's go. Good stuff, good stuff. Okay. So, okay. Biggest win here by far is X Battles being in the game now. X Battles are so important for the state of the game because people have not had a good way to set goals for themselves in solo queue. They just haven't. Like, you at a lower level, you can be like, okay, I want to get into S+. But once you're in S+, there are 50 ranks that don't mean that much, that you got to go through one at a time. And like once you're able to hang in S+, which it's not that high up compared to what like the S+ was in Splatoon 2. Like Splatoon 2 S+9 was quite difficult to get up to and get up out of and to stay up out of. But getting to S+0 in Splatoon 3, I think is significantly easier than it was to get like into from S+9 to X, which was the highest jump that you could make in Splatoon 2. And from there, you were able to, in Splatoon 2, set goals for yourself by Glicko Power. And Glicko Power is, like, I will defend it to my dying breath in this game. It's a way that you can determine with very good certainty which players are more likely to win matches. And that's what a ranked system is really good for. And that's when it works really well. When you can reliably say, if I have this high of a Glicko Power, I am around this skill level. So that was a really good thing to have, and we've really been missing it. Because I just do not feel like the ranking system in the current game has been a great way of measuring like how skilled you're going to be, how likely you are to win. And maybe it gets better towards the high end. Like, I've cruised through to S+25 and have not felt like it is significantly increased in difficulty as I've gone. It's just felt like the same kind of matchmaking that I've gotten anywhere. I could probably look at there are probably some S+0 matches that I played that were more difficult than the S+25 matches that I've played recently. So maybe that's my subjective experience and they are actually harder or something like that, but I've just had no motivation to climb because it hasn't felt like that number means anything to me. A Glicko Power means something to me. I know what that means, and I know that like within about 150 points or so on Glicko, like I have a strong expectation that that player is more likely to win once they have that many points over someone. So, this is needed. That's the biggest thing. New weapon classes are huge. If any of those end up being good, that will definitely drastically change the metagame. We have a new weapon that has Booyah Bomb. That's always going to be something to consider. We have Dapples that can poke again, and if they have a decent special, then that's going to make someone like reevaluate that weapon as an as an entire thing. Luna Blaster with the right special could be really interesting. Because Luna has just not had a kit quite good enough for it to make it into the meta before, but depending on what it gets here, that could be interesting. We've got this new roller, and we don't know its kit at all. We don't know its unique properties, if it has any. We've got this new shooter. We don't know what that does. This charger is looking really unique, and I like it. It remains to be seen, how good it's going to be, but it's also an interesting new sort of play style that we're gonna have to learn, which is cool. And there's a T-Tech, and it has a Splat Bomb, and that's really cool. I just hope it doesn't have a special that sucks. I would feel a lot better if I knew what kit it has. So, game music is a little too loud. Okay. Sorry about that. Is it better now? Okay, better. Sorry about that. So, really quick review there, because I'm assuming people weren't able to hear. The new weapons could definitely shake things up a lot. The new weapons could make it so that we have to learn new playstyles and stuff. New weapon has Booyah Bomb. Dapples have a new kit that might make that weapon a lot more interesting and much less easy to disregard. We've got the new weapon classes that will require us to learn different skills to use them and different ranges and all that interesting stuff. So, yeah, the new shooter has whale and point sensor. That we've pretty much confirmed at this point. I can pull up the kits again in case anybody didn't see those. Here, we'll zoom in a little bit. There. The new shooter, it has a question mark here, but Chara has confirmed based on what was thrown in the scene and how much ink it consumes to get that sub, that the new shooter has point sensor as well as killer whale. Which I think is a pretty not that good kit considering what we're seeing. Like, if it is what I'm thinking it is and it's a higher fire rate but lower accuracy long range or like mid-range shooter, then none of that really works super well with itself. Like, weapons don't really farm for whale. Like, you don't run a support weapon just to get a whole bunch of whales off. And the higher paint output with the point sensor would suggest that this is a more supportive weapon. So you would want this to have something more like a missiles or a Booyah Bomb for it to be like a top tier. Now, I don't want this thing to have missiles. Don't get me wrong here, but that's the sort of playstyle that it would be looking for. If it got Crab Tank, it would be a huge pain in the butt. But slightly longer range shooter. Yeah, my thinking is that the niche for it would be more supportive shooter than like the 52. Because 52 has a lower fire rate than this thing does. Like, this thing shoots as fast as a splatter shot does. So, I'm not ruling it out. It could be good. Like, Mini is a very similar sort of weapon. That it's a mid-range, like, to longer range weapon that can play a little bit aggressively, but doesn't have quite as much accuracy, which means it paints better. And so, as soon as it gets a really good special, the Mini is off to the races, and it can just spam that thing into oblivion. And it also puts down a lot of paint, and it still has that aggressive threat. Like, it's a pretty well-rounded weapon in that regard. So this thing could be in a similar place. Which is new shooter? We were talking about it earlier, but it is this guy. This is not a Splattershot Pro. We're pretty confident about that now. Because we can see in this shot here that this is a forged Splattershot Pro. It's got the yellow tip. It's got the same shape as the, like, Vanilla Pro. It's got this, like, reddish tube. And it's got a little bit of white right behind the yellow tip. And that is not what this guy looks like. This doesn't have any white in it. The tube is interrupted by stuff. We're pretty sure that this is a different weapon. Splattershot Seniors. The Splattershot Senior is actually the custom Splattershot Junior. So this is something I learned during the research for the Shoshinsha Mark video that I put on TikTok. So the Shoshinsha Mark, for those who didn't see that, is a symbol that you're required to put on your car when you're a beginner in driver's ed. And it bears a striking resemblance to the first name tag that you get, the first splash tag banner. Let me get over to that. Looks very similar to this squid here, except it's more like an open book than it is like a squid. Well, there is a version of this, that one's for beginner drivers. You're required to put that on your car when you're a first-year driver. There's another one for old drivers, and that bears a striking resemblance to the logo that is on the custom Splattershot Junior. So a better translation of that would actually be that it is the Splattershot Senior. Oh, hi, Mark. Somebody saw it. I like it. I like it. So, the Splattershot old uncle, yeah. All right, well, there's a lot there that will change the game. We've got two new maps. So one that is brand new, it's this thing. And then we've got Flounder Heights that's on its way. 3 new weapons, like main weapons, it's looking like. We've got... look at how they're holding the Splattershot. That's a funny animation. Okay. So it shifts to their other hand is what happens. I've never seen this before. Okay, there we go. The pass is fast enough that they don't really care. What, you were not meant to see this. Yeah, exactly. The logo on the side of the new shooter it's the Tenatech logo, which is a squid eye shape. How do you go by frame on YouTube? It's the comma and period keys. Then we've got, let's see, what are the new kits we've got? We've got T-Tech. Actually, we can just look at that list again. So we've got the brand new main weapons. Then we've got Luna, Forge, the new Mini, T-Tech, and Dapple's Nouveau. So that's 8 new weapons that are going to get added. So that's a lot of stuff that could shake the metagame up that we could, add in and start to consider. And then we're getting Big Run. That's a pretty good update, I think. Hopefully it comes with some new music. They didn't show off new music here, which isn't a good sign for that. Like, when they released the Season 4 trailer from Splatoon, Season 4.0, whatever, version 4.0. When they released that trailer, they had, like, new music going along with it. I'm crossing my fingers that there's new music, because the old music does get old if you overplay it, like I have from having been playing the game this much. So that'd be really nice to have, but I mean, I'll always take more Splatoon music, so anytime they want to add any of that would be good and nice and stuff. What else do we have here? One really quick thing that is exciting is apparently, and I haven't gone in and clicked into this yet and figured it out, but apparently Splatoon 3 is nominated for Best Multiplayer at the Game Awards, so that would be something to go and vote for. Definitely check that out and kind of confirm all of this. Another category that it's nominated for. Very cool. Which two categories? Best Family and Best Multiplayer. Yeah. So definitely go and get that, get Splatoon some attention. That benefits all of us for it to be voted for. Definitely go and check that out. And then also, there are new Nintendo events coming out, and apparently they're adding jackets to the prize pool. So, I mean, not exactly cash prizes or anything yet, but it's supposedly better. And now the prizes are actually going to top 8 instead of just top 4. So, I mean, that's kind of nice too. Although these events are always going to be huge, so it's not like that's that much easier for the average person to go and get. Even so, definitely worth checking out. So that, I think, was about all I had to talk about. Let me double check something really quickly. Yeah, okay. So today, I am going to be a guest on Popgun's stream. And we're going to be chatting about a whole bunch of stuff, including, we'll talk a little bit more about the update, but we'll talk about the general state of the game. We'll talk about the channel. There's a bunch of stuff to talk about there. And so I am going to raid over to Popgun's stream, but you will see me there very shortly, because I'm going to, be on it in the near future there. So that is the next thing that we're going to do, and that's, I don't really have time to play another game or something in between, so I've got to hop in the voice chat by then. Isn't some event 2 days after the patch? The patch is December 1st, so it'd be December 3rd if there was an event like that. What date was this event? Let me... you don't see this, but the Splatoon 3 Splatsville Showdown, the event I was just looking at that Fusion posted about. Yeah, it is the day after the patch drops. Well, okay, it's kind of going to be 2 days after the patch drops, because what's going to happen is in Japan it'll release on what is for them that day, but what is for us still the day before, because Japan's ahead of us. So it'll be like 5 or 6 p.m. on November 31st. Is it 30th? 31st? I need to do the knuckle trick. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. Okay, so November is a 30 day. So November 30th, it'll be like 6 p.m. or something like that. I forget exactly what it is. That the patch will go live in all likelihood, because that's typically what the time scale is for them. That's like morning in Japan, and that's when they launch it. So we'll have about 2 days, about 48 hours before that tournament starts. So that'll be kind of Wild West. That'll be a good one to watch the top 8 for, the finals for, because we'll be seeing top teams, and we'll be able to see what it is that they're doing in the first couple days after the patch drops. So that's gonna be nice. Knuckle trick never fails. Yeah, I've been using that knuckle trick since I was a kid, and I ain't never found anything better. That is a really useful thing. Alrighty. So the knuckle trick. So you take your knuckles, right, and you start from the left side, and whenever there's a knuckle, you count like knuckle and then space between knuckles. Whenever there's a knuckle, that month has 31 days. And when there is a space, that month has less than 31 days. So January has 31, February is less, March has 31, April has less, and then you put your fists together because you run out of months, because January, February, March, April, May, June, July, and August both have 31. And so those are the two in the middle, And then it goes back to September having not 31, October having 31, November not having 31, and December having them. So that is the way that you determine how many days the months have. All right, we're being educated in a way that I was not expecting to teach you guys today, but there you go. What are these 2 secret months? They're DLC that the developer never actually got around to releasing. Wrinkling my brain. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you guys so much for watching the stream, and I mean, there's more stream to watch, just not here. I will be raiding over to Popgun, and from there we will be continuing to hear me say words, but we'll also be hearing Popgun say words, and he's very cool, so that'll be fun to watch too. And if you are interested in supporting me or in finding more content that I do, check out these links. I have a Patreon account. I have a Medify account where you can get private lessons like the one we saw today. And there's also there's the YouTube channel, there's my Twitter, my Discord server, a whole bunch of different stuff. And so check that out if you would like to, and if you would not like to, well, I tried. Let's get this raid going, because I just realized I haven't initiated it yet. So here's the start of it. And this is the Popcast. For those who don't know, this is a stream where Popgun talks about current events in the Splatoon community from the perspective of a TO and organizer. Really good way to keep track of exactly what the competitive scene is currently doing. So let's go and pay Popgun a visit. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you on the other side.